Yo, what's up, family? It's your People's channel again. This is your man, Justice, the People's Disciple. May we come back to your way again, just as we promised the last time. I mean, today we just, like last time, we promised you guys, we have to move away from Italy, to go to the other countries within the Europe. But we couldn't do it, man, because we have a lot of people talking to us now. We have some unfinished business that we have to still deal with in Italy. So as you can see now, this is what the way has led us to, but don't worry about it, we're gonna do all of it, but for today we're gonna be precisely stayed in Italy, because we have to finish what we started. So if you look at it from what we're trying to tell you the last time is about being in the project or being in the program, doing the stuff in a way that some of the people do it correctly and some of the people do it in a wrong way. So we have the correct doers and then we have the wrong doers, and then we have in between the people who don't have no knowledge of doing the stuff in a correct way. So they get stuck in the middle. So now what we're trying to tell you today, we just want to broaden in that thing and then make it very much impactful for you so you can understand the whole clear picture what we're trying to talk about. So if you look at it from the beginning, and what we're trying to tell you, the whole stuff is like people moving from Africa to come to Italy or to come to Europe to search for whatever thing that they want to search for. Some come to search for greener pasture, some are running away from some of the troubles that they cannot take care of in Africa. They have to move the whole of out of the Africa to come to Europe to seek for refuge. And some people are coming for whatever reason that they're coming for. But now we got stuck now first in Italy now. So we talked about that one and then we park it aside now. But now what we're trying to do here is trying to broaden in the stuff that people deal with in Italy. Okay, now when we talk about the camps and everything and people are in the camps now, we get to the point whereby now people who have to get the paper based on their asylums, they get the papers. And some of them who don't have to get it, maybe they file and they're now going to court for it to get their papers. But whatsoever the case may be, if you get your paper now, this is where now the whole conversation is going to be based on now. Because of most of the people now, if you got your paper, you are not prepared, you don't learn the language. You don't learn any work skills in Italy. If you don't come with one, now you have to be prepared to learn some before you get your paper. But if you got your paper, you are like in the fast track seat in the train. You don't have a time. Time is not on your side. In the camp and in the project, anything that any place you find yourself in, they don't provide you with time. The only thing that they tell you, you got your papers now, you have to leave the camp, and you are provided with a very minimum amount of time. In most cases, most of the people cannot make any fast move in this to catch some places of workplace, and to get themselves engaged. No, because of this a very short time, and we have to understand that at the back of our mind, we are African descendant. We are coming from Africa. We are foreigners, and in every European nation, I'm gonna say this for the second time, in every European nation we find ourselves, they don't employ us first. And when the things hit the bottom, we are the first people to, when they're downsizing in the company, we are the first people to, who goes out. So with that in mind, one thing we have to understand, like if you come now, you working in a place, maybe you are there for job practice and everything. When you get your paper, we all know that in 2 years, what you can get in Europe, it's not a permanent job in most of the cases. Some people do get the permanent job, but if you look at the overall, if it is 100, like, it's 10% of the people who get the permanent job before they even secure their papers. It's very few. Majority of the people, after when they get the paper now, they start to look for a job. And this job industry, what happens, we are struggling with the Italian citizens. For every job you see, the way you wanted it, that is the way Italian people wanted it. How much are you willing to offer in terms of skills, dedication and sacrifice to secure that job before the Italian guy? Next Italian guy who is standing behind you. So we have to put all this consideration, and then as who we are as well, people don't tend to employ us to be in a position, to be in a workplace in abundance. So in any places you have some system that has been set up and put in a place to keep us limited in the workplaces. This is the reality, man. People they want to avoid it, but I'm gonna say this. So that in every system you see, there is a system within the system to keep us limited in any places. So what happens? You end up having majority of large numbers of immigrants in all the major cities. And if you ask them, some of them, they have the document, but what happens? They don't have a job. They did not have a job. And they have to survive in Europe here. And they have to pay their bills. Because here, if you're living in the project, you don't have to pay for the bill. Nobody even program you for that. Nobody don't tell you about you have to pay for your bills. You have to pay for your everything that you're going to need to survive. So when you come out of the project, the first tax that you face is that. You don't have a job, but still you have the bills lined up for you now. Because if you have to stay with a friend, he's expecting a monthly salary from you. You have to pay your quota. Nobody gives you anything for free. So that what happens, most of the people cannot even afford a place to stay, because if you don't have money that you have already packed before you leave the camp, you wouldn't even have a place. Because no matter how much somebody wants to help you, the person wouldn't want to help you for you to drown with him. And nobody don't want to help you for you to drown him down. Because if the person is working and paying his rent, if you come there, he's expecting you also to at least lessen the load that is on his shoulder. But if you have to stay, you are not paying the rent. Some people get to the point whereby their feeding even becomes a problem for them. And this is a devastating stuff for the people. So if you move like that from Italy, you go to Germany now, you cannot even walk in Italy. Now you walk, you go to Germany, you go to Swiss, you go to Holland, you go to Denmark, you go to Austria, you go to all these countries. It's tough in those countries than Italy even to find a job. Because if you're in Italy, you have a lot of jobs that you can do. If you are not in Italy, it's difficult for you to do such kind of jobs. Because in Italy, it's like a farm country. In Italy, if you're there in the time of the season, you can work in every kind of plantation. You can work in the tomato season. You can work in the l'uva season. In Italy they call it l'uva, but in Finland and the other places they call it like vine rupale. And in the other European countries, every country has a name for it. And you have the onion time, and then you have the orange time. And in Italy, like the season follows each other. So some of the foreigners go to these harvesting centers, and they easily get employed, and there you can earn some fair amount of salary, and then you can be working there. Sometimes it takes you 6 months, 7 months, to gather some money before the winter falls. If the winter falls now, you get redundant now. You are not working now. They downsize now. So if that happens now, you have to bounce back and then go into your savings and then trying to support yourself before another thing comes up again. If some of the wise ones now, they can go and do some courses, to elevate themselves into certain high positions so as to be working in the society. But majority of the people don't do that. So what happens now, back home where we come from now, you have twice of the expectation. The more years you have in Europe, the more expectation grows. Because they don't know whether you get your stuff together or you don't get it together. The only thing they needed is like you've been there for years and years and years. So everybody who is going to call you is calling you with a high expectation of anything that the person is required from you. And you have to do it, because if you don't do it, they just feel like, you don't want to help them. Because brothers, one thing I have to make clear if you are in Europe here, nobody don't think like you need help. Because we know how suffered our brothers suffered here. We see each other. We know each other's pain. We know what we go through day-to-day basis. But if you are in Africa, you don't know that. And it's very difficult for somebody to explain that to them, for them to understand, because information has been given to them for a very long time that already put their mind in certain frequency. If you come to tell them the reality, they don't even believe it. They just look at you before your eyebrows and then look. No, they don't even take you seriously. And then these people keep on pushing these people. So now listen to what I say. First of all, we have this pre-existing condition. Before you get into the project, before you get out of the camps, you don't have any plan. After when you get your paper, what you're going to meet outside, you don't know that. Now you get your paper, you meet that stuff now. It's getting tougher for you. You don't know what to do with that. Now you cannot even afford a house. You cannot even afford your feeding system now. Your bills are on the way, you cannot even pay them. Some get to the point they cannot even pay for the transportation. They have to dodge the transportation from one spot to another. And if they catch you along the way, you're gonna get they fine you. We all know that. You get fined. In Italy, they call it multa. You're gonna get your multa. And if you get that one, you have to pay that, because if you don't pay that, it's in the system. Sometimes it disturbs you. If you go to check the paper, they have to tell you, but you have to pay these things before we can even address your paper issues. If you don't have a place whereby you get your income, you are living in a country that is, you don't know nobody who can give you an assistance. Now, if you fall into those kind of hands, what will you do? There the rational thinking comes, because some of the people in that desperate position, they just think to do anything easy for them that is going to make them get out of that pre-existing condition that they are in. At the end of the day, they end up fucking up everything. And some of them, they decide to move and go to other countries. But if you go to the other countries, you're going to have it twice tougher than the way it is in Italy, than the way you left it in Italy. So at the end of the day, you come and have this light group in Italy, and then you have another light group in the other European countries. And the funniest thing of all, after we get the paper in Italy and then we move, if you want to go to other European countries with Italian paper, you don't get work. In Italy, the paper can give you work, and then it can help you with a lot of things. But once you reach at the border of Italy and then you pass the border behind, it's done. The paper can help you to travel in everywhere, to rotate within, but you cannot get job. If you go to any country, they have their own rules different from the Italian rules.
Do you mean that the permission of work?
The Italian, the document that we have, if you have it, you can go in everywhere in Europe. You can travel, but it cannot secure you job. It secures you job in very few countries. Malta is one of those countries. If you go there with Italian paper, you can secure a job. So those countries are there. But most of the countries in the mainland of Europe, if you go there, you cannot have job with it. You have to be further reintegrate yourself into those societies so as to be able to have job. Some of the things is like, maybe you have to go to those countries again and put another asylum again, so that you can be accepted and start life again. So now we are talking about 4 years is going away from your life for nothing. And there's nobody or no humanitarian group that is talking about our stuff. When we get to Italy, they give us some help. But after when we get out of Italy with our document, there is no program for us. And in Italy and in the European Union, there is a program, like if you have a European document, you can move from one country to another and you can have this job. But like if a foreigner like us, refugees, when we go, we don't have the job. Because I've been to many countries, we don't have the job. If you go with your document, nobody don't even take you seriously. You have to further reintegrate yourself into those countries to be able to secure a job. And these are some of the defecting problems that are hindering the immigration, the people from the diaspora. And then this is disturbing us very, very bigly, and nobody is talking about it. Because nobody knows about it. Even if they knew it, they don't even want to deal with that situation. But we face this day-to-day basic. This is like a headache. And we live in a condition to the bottom whereby even in the bottom, we are at the top. Our struggle is tough. Most of the people, they go to sleep, they are not even too sure what they're going to do tomorrow, what is going to happen tomorrow. Because they don't have any hope. And that is their reality in Italy, and that is their reality in other European nations. They're just there, but they cannot work. It's like you are like a zombie in the European nations. You cannot do anything if you are not integrated into those countries again. After having 2 years or 2.5 years in Italy, now you get the paper, now you go out. You think it's just going to be like you come with your paper and they look at your resume and they give you the work. No. They have to take you again to their basic programs. Some people come to those countries and put the asylum in, and sometimes they don't have the asylum. They have to further force them to move out of those countries. And nobody is not talking about this. Our leaders are not talking about this. People in the European Union, they don't even talk about this. It's like it's been numbed. Nobody is not even seeing it. It's like we are not existing. So what I was trying to tell you guys is like, if you get the paper now, you don't want to stay in Italy anymore now, you want to move into Europe. One thing we have to put at the back of our mind is that most of the European countries, like if you move out of Italy, you leave the border behind you now. With the Italian documents, you were like a holiday maker. And if you go to this country, it's not just like you have to bounce into any country and then you submit your paper and then they say tomorrow morning come to work. No, no, no. You have to further integrate yourself into those societies. Because one thing we have to understand, if you go to Europe, in every country they have their own legalities. They have their own rules and regulations, different from the other country. There is no country in Europe that has the same rules and regulations, despite the fact they are all on the EU. Most of them are on the EU, but they don't have their setups are different. And if you go to every country you want to settle, you have to follow the legalities of those countries and then know all the things that you needed, all the things that are required for you to have job in that country. And most of the time, those processes could be even longer than the first process that you've already undergone through Italy. And most of the people are so impatient about going through these things because of the legality. Some of the times they take time. These things takes time, man. Sometimes you sit down until you say no, it's not going to work. And what happens? Some of the people, like I said, if these things get hard and then when you move into these countries, you don't come with good money. What happens? You have to have a choice. You have to do certain things that are not even appropriate. So in doing that, some of the time, most of the people get into the other side, and then it's not very much healthy. So I'm saying all these things to say, like, it's not easy. Every step that you took in Europe here is not easy. If you're sitting in this country, you're looking at the other country, you think it's going to be easy. But if you get into that country, if you see the system, how it's structured and everything, you begin to understand, but no, it is not easy. And most especially for us as Africans, when we come into Europe, we come from zero budget. Most of them. Most of us. So I'm saying this to the brothers for them to understand. First time you find yourself in Italy, before you move from Italy, try to do everything possible to impact yourself with some amount of money. Try to impact yourself with any kind of skills that you can acquire in Italy. Try to impact yourself with any kind of information that could be usable to you out of Italy. Please try to find as much as friends, as much as people of African descent that you can see in those countries before you even move. So if you go now, you cannot run out of information. They can always keep you online. They can always give you some ideal advice that can help you, that can help you to your growth in those countries. Because most of the people are so muchly devoid of this kind of knowledge. And more especially now we are in this situation nowadays, most of the companies are downsizing. You are seeing from the news every day, companies are selling out. You have many companies that are selling out, they are closing, they downsize to the bottom. They don't even want to take anybody, even their staffs now, they're trying to take them, they're trying to lay them off. Like Corona kind of decimated the whole system now. So if you gotta move from any place to any place, you have to calculate it. And now, even if you are in Italy, some of our people, because I've been talking to a lot of people in Italy right now, some of the people who are working in Italy right now, they are not working because of this Corona system. Now, most of the people are not working. They are sitting home now. Where will you gonna get the income? And if you are in the countries like Italy, you don't have the social support that is supporting everybody. You as an African descent, you don't have any connection in Italy. Now this Corona situation now, what will you do? This is not easy for us. It's very hard right now. Because I'm always talking to my people. I always communicate with people. I know how tough it is in Italy. I know how hard it is. If it is not Corona time, you can go out and seek for jobs, but now you have some of the cities in Italy. Now this Corona time, do you think who is going to employ you? Because everybody is scared of everybody. We have been made to scared of each other. So where will you have to go to find jobs? And one thing, you cannot live for 24 hours without surviving. You have to survive. So if you have to sit down for 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 1 year, where will you gonna get your income? So it's very tough and hard for people. I think, European Union definitely has to look into the refugee stuff. Because if they're looking at the refugee stuff, they're only looking at the people in the camp. But you have some of the people who has the document. Because in every we all know that all the refugees that came to Italy and then they all get the paper, there is no magic that all of them can be having a job. That is not possible. And if they move to other countries, we all know that they cannot have jobs in those countries as well. So now what can be done for these people now? They need help, brother. And what is happening to the other countries? They come on, man. They extraditing people, sending them back to Africa. If there is no way, Africans, we can never do that to any other civilization. Never. There is no way in our history that we deported people out of Africa, because we don't do that. Somebody who runs away from his country and come and seek refuge in your country, you catch the person now. You said, okay, now I'm gonna get some for you. Now I'm gonna help you. At the end of the day, you catching the person now. You sending him back. It's better you give him a personal non grata, like you tell him, I don't need you in my country within this particular period of time. I want you to get out. But in Germany, what they are doing is not correct.
Right now, they are doing it here in Finland too.
Man, all these countries in Europe now, what they are doing, I don't think this is definitely a correct stuff to do to human beings. Because you might look at it like they're Africans, we have to take them. But I don't think if you are in position, you would want to be treated like the way they treated these brothers. Because we in Africa, we learn our democracy system from the Europe. And then everything of civilization and everything, what Europe imposed on us, we learn that. And what Europe preach always, we try to do that. But sometimes when we come here, we face the different version of everything that we've been taught from Africa. So this is why in my previous videos I said there is a powerful misunderstanding and powerful miseducation of Africans. Because when we go to school, all the things that we learn about this democracy and everything of what Europe is, sometimes when we come to Europe, it could be deceiving. I don't know now where will we gonna pack this. So what I'm trying to narrow down to my brothers, is like when you find yourself in any country, try to follow the legalities, try to do everything that is right and necessary for you to be integrated in those countries, and then make your life. And then first of all, try to concentrate on your life, develop yourself, try to develop yourself to the level whereby you can help other people. But mistake that we did most of the time, we want to help other people, in the process we destroy our own self. You cannot help somebody in Africa or somebody in any part of the world if you are not self-sufficient. You have to help yourself first until you can stand on your feet and then try to help other people. But if you don't get it together, how can you help some other person? I hope you find this message very, very, very much interesting. If you find it interesting, please subscribe. But we have to think about this very, very much. I'm not saying everybody, I'm not saying to you don't help people, but before you help people, try to think of yourself. Because you can only help people if you are alive, if you are doing something good for yourself. But if you are not in good shape, you cannot help people. And right now, we all know how it is in here. It's not easy. Try to focus on yourself. Don't let yourself to be pushed by anybody. When you get messed up, he's not gonna be there for you. With that, I'm out, man. This is your man, Justice, the people disciple. I greet you all in peace, okay? Love, respect, in peace, man.